Hi everyone, it's Killshot from 99 Gaming's The Walking Dead Season 8, Episode 16. We're fast forwarding a little bit. The Rick tree mystery solved. So there's a lot of talk. I promised you guys we would discuss this, and I went full CSI mode. So yes, I'm giving bold predictions, what I think is a solution. However, the caveat to that is, I do want your predictions. I do want you guys to participate. This is not a one-sided affair. We do this as a team. If we're wrong, I'll take the fall. I've done it before. But I do have some things that are starting to make a little bit of sense. And I saw this scene, and I knew there were some things going on. I didn't know if it was a Carl burial. I kind of glossed over it a little bit, but evidently there's a lot of people that have talked about it, whether it was future, whether some dream. And I'm going to put my spin on it, my theory. I think it's a solution, but to each their own. You know, there's going to be people to watch the playback and say, it's not a solution, it's another damn prediction, but whatever. I feel good about it. I think that we're moving along the right track. And as we get spoilers later on, I will definitely, I'll stand beside this, because I think there were some clues that really led us into the right direction. So I saw, we had a super chat already. So Scott dropped in early, and hold on a second, Scott. What was your question? It was, give me a second, everybody. There's a lot of stuff. Scott, your question is, do you think it's a possibility that the Mercy scene is partially a dream? No. I'm going to say absolutely not. I think there were several things in play. I think there were the dream, which we didn't know it was a dream at the time. We thought it was definitely a time skip, but it wasn't. There was the future of what was happening, showing the end of the war, and then there was the path to get to the end of the war, which we're still in the process of right now. And that's going to go along with what we're going to talk about tonight. I think this is definitely the ending of the war. This is the emotion coming out of Rick, but there's a little more to it. One thing I would ask you to do is, at the end of this video, go back and watch the last 2 minutes of episode 9, because there's some things that I'm going to say tonight that I had to watch it a few times, and I feel you know, almost like when you go back and watch that Carl scene, you're like, he was bit. Yeah, it was obvious. Well, there's some things I feel like have happened that are pretty obvious. But we are going to piece together a little bit. What's up, Caleb? Thank you so much. Caleb Shireman with the super chat. Caleb, I appreciate that. One thing that I'd love for you guys to do, if you do leave a super chat, then throw us a question out there. Love to have your questions and your comments as well. Or, you know, like one particular regular super chat does, they drop in and say, hey, you want to say what's up to the Killshot and the 999 Army? So, you know, whatever, as long as you just put individual spin on it. But thank you so much. Appreciate your support. All right, so let me take you back in time a little bit, because some things have happened that we see, we question, then we move on to the next topic. So let's remember Richard. We're going to go back, and we're going to start with the kingdom. Richard had the pigs eat walker meat, right? So one of the questions that has come up, and I think it's twofold. I think sometimes the writers want to answer a question, and they also, well, threefold. And they want to plant a seed, and they also want to give you what-if scenarios. So we feel like the saviors ate the meat, but might have got a few sick, didn't turn them into walkers. So it answers another question. So I think what we're going to see is, you know, we're still waiting on a couple things. We're still waiting on the cure. We're still waiting on to see if someone is immune, if it affects people differently. All of those things are questions that are in our mind, and I think they're going to plant the seed with that. Right, Hippo. They never showed it. But let's talk about this picture. So put that in the back of your mind, just like the writers did. Let's take a look at Rick. If you go back and look at this picture, number one, there is not a knife through his hand. You can barely see it, but his hand is over the top of either the hilt from a knife. I guess that's the official word, right? Hilt from a knife. Or could be over the top of a gun. Either way, you see a little bit of it. It's very vague, but it's not through his hand. So let's get rid of the whole Rick stab. Now, That is Rick's hand that he has the wound on. And remember, he put his hand through Winslow. And I'm going to get back to that in 1 second because we got some super chats working here. Here's the rule. When people super chat, I pause, I put it on hold, and we go over to your topic or your kind of interjection at that point. So first of all, let me thank Right Side of Elections for that super chat donation. Appreciate that. And also Epic Vids 8 coming through wants to know, will Dwight shoot Rick with an arrow like in the comics? No. I am going to say when I'm solving this mystery, it has nothing to do with Dwight shooting Rick. And so many people are saying that. I am really here to disprove that altogether. Dwight is Team Rick. He has no reason to interject in this. No, his leg is not... Hold on. Ian, first of all, let's not put things there that we think is happening from the comics. This is what gets a lot of people in trouble when they try to make the comics into something that the TV show is not doing. First of all, in watching the scene, Ian, I saw no evidence that Rick's leg is broken. Secondly, in watching this video, the last 2 minutes, I saw no evidence of an arrow. What I did see is a wound. No doubt that there's a wound. I would say it's more likely to be a knife wound. I don't see an arrow. I don't see evidence of an arrow. I see Rick. I see his hand bleeding. I don't see half an arrow. I mean, people are going to see different things. But I see the reflection from his shirt. It's just a wound. It's a wound. It's his hand laying on top of what could be part of a gun or the hilt of a knife. And sometimes when we're working through this, and I hate to say it because people are guilty, this is why I don't watch other people's predictions. Because I could watch one channel and jump on their predictions or see one or two things and another, and they could be totally... I'm looking at this from as neutral as I can possibly get. Now, let me also say this is the future. And feel free, I'm going to read a couple of your comments. There is one thing that a lot of people are overlooking, and you can't see it from this picture. This is why I want you to watch the last 2 minutes. Over to the right, you can't see this, but there is an item on the ground. You can barely see it where the Walking Dead Army logo is. You can't really zoom into it, but you can see an item. It's either, could be a rolled up belt. It is something of a circular nature. So we're going to get to that in 1 second because I do want you to follow me all the way through this theory. So Right Side of Elections says, do you think Simon will die? I personally don't, but I wouldn't be surprised by it. I still think Simon's going to take off because I think he'll be around a little bit. All right. Let me finish. I'm going to finish a little bit more of this theory, and I'm going to tie it into that. We are going to talk about Simon. I'll get back to you in 1 second. You guys are crazy. I think that's on purpose. Like, I'm going down this theory. So, Lauren's contract equals what Denai will get next year. I'm going to tell you, though, there are a couple of these actors who are playing out the role, and it's almost like a Broadway thing where it's not really, really high volume. I think Denai is going to have a much more lucrative superhero role in the future. I think movies just going to be her thing. All right. We're going to get back into theory in 1 second. Thank you so much for that, Rial. And I'm definitely going to... how do you like disco, by the way? We got 200 people in here. If you guys could do me a favor, and I'm going to call on a lot of new people in a little bit to get your thoughts, get your comments. If we get everybody slap the like button, get this thing up to 150 likes, because I'm getting ready to go into full-scale theory mode. Not what we think we see. Perhaps it's what we don't see. So let me go back to the last 2 minutes. The sound is important. When you watch, and we know Rick will say, "My mercy prevails over my wrath," you hear a little bit of exhaling, but you don't see, I know it's a stretch, but hold on, stick with me. You don't see Rick, you don't see him breathing out, you don't see his lips moving. You also can hear a little bit of mumbling in the background, as if someone is trying to speak. So instead of saying Dwight will shoot Rick from the comics, let me give you a bigger comic book theory. I think it's very conceivable that Rick is stabbed with a tainted weapon and possibly uses the same knife he stabbed with to cut Negan's throat. Now, not to a point where it's going to kill him. In the comic books, as I said, you guys know, I haven't read that far into the comics, but Rick wanting to kill Negan and stopping killing Negan, to me, is huge. I'm also going to say, when I first saw Red Eye Rick, I was like, he's doing a hell of a lot of crying. But then I saw Father G, and Father G is infected, and his eyes are starting to turn red. And I look at Rick a little bit more, and I'm like, wait a minute, why are his eyes starting to turn red? That's a lot of puffiness in his eyes for someone who was just in a lineup that thinks he's going to die. I mean, Rick ain't going to break down and cry. Carl's already dead. I mean, unless the emotion's coming out. But if he's in a lineup, as we are hearing, and the bullets don't go through and there's a chase, well, that's the thing, Northside. So Northside Queen says, so they both will die. No, I don't think either are going to die. I think someone will get them antibiotics. I do. I think it is an infection. And I think a couple things. If you go back to the pigs, you guys want to call this the kill shot pig theory? It's fine with me. We can make up a name. The tainted meat from the pigs did not kill anyone. The walker guts from Father G infected him, did not kill him, could cause blindness, might save him. The comic book scene of which we speak could be a Rick and Negan fight. This very well could be close to the hilltop. There's a lot of hills. We can't see the background, but we've never really seen the back of the hilltop, right? So if that scene takes place, so the rumored scene, rumored by Spoiling Dead's fan page, is that there will be a second lineup. And Dwight will be in his prison suit. Simon is not there. Negan says, light him up, and then the guns explode. When Negan runs away, this looks like an area where Negan's trying to get away. Rick tracks him down. It's not over. Now, from every indication that I've seen, the blood, to me, appears to be a stab wound, not an arrow wound. Now, why is Rick's hand bloody? Notice it's his right hand, not his left hand. So as I said, there's not an arrow through his hand. There's not a knife through his hand. It's likely that that's Negan's blood on his right hand, either from hitting Negan repeatedly or slicing Negan's throat, and that's the blood of Negan. I thought about that, Philomena, whether it was Rick holding his wound. I don't think so. I mean, it's literally all the way down his arm. So if you zoom in on that, if he's touching the wound, the blood will be on his hand. I get that. But this blood is, if he were to cut his throat, this blood would go down his arm to about where his elbow is. And hang on. I don't have experience with that. I'm just saying that the way the blood kind of flows down, Gina, some people have said that. I see blood on his arm. He could have been hit in the arm. I mean, this is a fight. I mean, he could be cut. He could have gotten hit with... there's a lot of possibilities. But to me, the focal point of the scene isn't his swollen arm. I don't think we're going to go back and say, okay, well, Rick's got a swollen arm, so we've solved really what happens in this. I think there's more to these details than... Because I've already heard several people have said, he's got a knife in his hand, he got cut with a knife, there's an arrow sticking out of him. 5 different people can look at this 5 different ways. I didn't see as much of the swollen arm as I did the blood. And I don't think his leg is broken. In watching this at least 20 times over and over again, I can see no indication that his leg is broke. Now, it could be. He could have gotten hit. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying he doesn't end up with that limp that Carl sort of dreamed about. But I'm just saying I don't see evidence of it or proof of it. Could it happen and we see a little bit more? You could absolutely be right. But I'm looking for things that I think are closer to being slam dunks. Things that I think are... I do know there's something over on the right side. Not Rick's right, actually Rick's left, but the right side of the picture. It's very hard to see. Even if you zoom in, it's very hard to see. But it is not leaves. It's some sort of item. It does look like a rolled up belt. But if you guys can check it out and you have a... I do think that's important, but I can't tell what it is. It's just not something that's randomly out there. It is different from all the other scenery. Could have been something Rick had in his hand and threw it down before he sit down at the tree, because this is a spot where he's reflecting. He just made a big move and there are tears going down his face. So all of the ambience, everything that's happening is the best we're going to do to come up with a solution. So let me kind of recap just a little bit for those of you that got here a little bit late. 5 or 6 observations. I promised last night that I would look into this. I would go full CSI mode. So this is the best I can do with it. So I'm going to tell you the things, once again, that I feel like I can see, and the things that could be on the fence that maybe, maybe not. But if someone comes on and says his leg's broke, I'm going to say, you might be right, but I didn't see evidence of it. Is his arm swollen? You might be right, but I didn't see evidence. Wasn't a thing that sort of jumped out that was a big deal. I mean, maybe he got hit with a bat. I did see his eyes were red. And I think that's relevant. Because you could have a cliffhanger, and some of that cliffhanger could be, is Rick infected? Is there a solution? Will Sadiq save Rick going into season 9? I could see a mini cliffhanger, not, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, but I could see a cliffhanger. So we'll take it back from the beginning. You guys are joining in late, and then I'll get some. Actually, I'm going to read. I'm going to read a few comments here. So the belt could be a tourniquet. It could. As I said, there is something there. I can validate that, but I need your help into looking at it. Don't look at it and tell me it's a Rolls Royce. I mean, come on, people. We gotta look and see what we can see, not what we want it to be or what we think it is. So I've missed several comments, so I'm gonna give you guys just a little bit of time because I had to get those 6 points out there and really sort of nail it home. And Red Elastic, I think your point says that cliffhanger better be done right. If it were, I think it would be a cliffhanger and then there'd be a time skip. I do think there's going to be a time skip in Season 9. And I would not be surprised if this is the ending of the war. I'm Michelle Yang. What's up, Michelle? You guys have not, Michelle, what's the latest fashion tip you have for us? She does some fashion and some makeup tutorials. So Michelle says, honestly, don't think his leg is broken. I'm not saying I'm kind of right or wrong. It's not really a matter of that. I'm just saying I can't definitively say, yes, I see it. And if you guys are looking back and forth at what I'm talking about in the last 2 minutes, it's not where his legs are. It's about 5 or 6 feet over to the right side of where the screen is. You will see it. You have to look for it, but you got to scan the whole area. There is an item that is rolled up. Carol with a super chat. You know what, Carol? Maybe the cure is with the animals. They aren't sick. That could have something to do with it. I mean, I don't know exactly how that would all play out, but the fact that the pigs, there's something that is going to come out of Richard feeding the pigs walkers and people eating that. That will be, I don't think that's going to be an unsolved mystery. And I do think that it is a piece of what we're talking about tonight. Building up antibodies, becoming immune, it's a possibility, Steph. I mean, could you create an immunity? Maybe. You know, maybe ultimately that is the cure, right? Eating a walker? That would be gross. We solved it. We solved The Walking Dead. If a walker comes up to bite you, bite them first, and you will become immune. Yep, that's what you tuned in for, everybody. That's exactly it. So Scott says the background are people approaching to help Rick. No, I don't think I don't think that's it. It was very like that. There was a sigh, and it could have been Rick sighing. But there's just a little soft whisper. And I feel like that's Negan. I feel like that's Negan's last couple breaths. Now, I do think he's going to live through it. Epic Vid says, won't people be mad if they do fake out with Rick getting injured with a tainted weapon similar to the dumpster thing? You know, Epic Vids, here's the thing. People are going to get mad regardless. This is what I've learned about the Walking Dead community. People that want him to be shot by Dwight are going to get mad if it doesn't happen. If he captures Negan, people are going to get mad. If people turn after being hit with tainted weapons, people are going to be mad. And there's already people saying like, oh, well, people have had cuts on their hands and they've touched walkers, they've done things, and they never got infected before. Well, we don't know the extent of it, but I mean, there is no perfect storyline for this many demanding people. OU Crawfish says, why haven't we seen... there are no apes freely roaming around in Virginia. That's why. I'm going to read through a couple more comments here. I'm really fired up about this tree mystery. You guys got me going last night. And it's a great point, Kel. I mean, you can't please all the people. Yes, Shanny, there are bears, although there were none in the bear traps. If there were, then Carson wouldn't have got caught in one. See, this is how the butterfly effect happens. I just want to say, if there were more bears in Virginia, the bears would have sprung the bear traps. Therefore, Carson would not have sprung a bear trap. Therefore, Father G and Carson would have gotten in the car a little bit sooner and been able to drive away, and he would not have died. So the point being, there's not enough bears in Virginia. There you go. See, it all ties together. It's a lot of degrees of Kevin Bacon that made that happen. So I'm going to recap one more time because there's going to be mad theories out there. I would just ask you to think about this and help me finish this mystery, because I do think it is a somewhat unsolved mystery, but I really feel like we're on the right track. So once again, the pigs can be tainted and they don't infect people. It's kind of in the back of our mind. Negan and group are storming up the hillside with tainted weapons. We know that much. That's the whole agenda. Some people are going to be hit, some people are going to be shot, some people are going to be killed, but we don't know if it's going to turn those people. Rick has a wound in an area that would be consistent with a stab wound. We know Negan likes to stab people in the gut, right? I mean, we've seen that before. So, is there a rundown? Is there the epic fight scene between Rick and Negan? Does Negan stab Rick with a tainted weapon? Rick has blood on his hand. The blood, I don't think the tainted weapon is going to work either, Drama King, and that's why I think that it's important that Rick is not killed. Rick has blood on his hand consistent that he had gotten into a fight. So, to those people that are out there, and I'm going to walk through this again because several people are saying it's a Bolt and it's Dwight. I see no reason, based on the current direction of the story, that someone would shoot Rick with an arrow. Dwight has no reason to shoot Rick. And not everybody's walking around with a crossbow. You pretty much have Dwight and Daryl. So, to the people that want Dwight to shoot Rick, it just doesn't make sense to me. Chris Reinig, I have not only have I magnified the picture, I have watched it over and over and over again. I've seen the reflections on Rick's face. I see how the blood is wet and how it dries up. I've seen Rick's hand. It is literally about a 15-second clip. You can see Rick move his hand enough to say there is no knife through his hand. There's no arrow through his hand. There's no arrow in his hand. And the only thing that I've been able to garner out of that is that it is wet blood. And it does look like Rick's python that's on the ground. But it could be the hilt of a knife. So, let's go back to Rick's forearm and the blood going down his forearm. So, for Rick to get blood, if it's from his wound, let's think about this. All right. You guys try this with me at home. Okay? Touch your... I mean, it could run down his hand. I mean, he could have put his hand in there and then held his hand up in front of his face. That's not likely based on what he's doing with his hand. This is what he would have to do. He'd have to touch that wound, hold it up above his head, and let it run down to his arm, and then put his arm down. So that's not likely. It's more likely if he's sitting there, he touches it, and then he puts his arm down, it would run the other direction. But if Rick were to slash at Negan's throat, with Negan standing, that blood would go from his hand all the way down to his forearm, very consistent with what you're seeing on the picture. And it would also be on the inside of his forearm, not the outside of his forearm. So, I know he carries an axe, Angela, but Negan carries a knife. And Negan might have very well put that knife in Rick. Now, maybe he's not going to leave it in there. He could rip that knife out and slash his throat, is what I'm saying. Now, once again, oh, you got to be kidding me. Michael Owen, how many bolts? Is Rick out there dodging bolts? A bolt through his hand, a bolt in his gut? No, there's not all these bolts out there. Rick is not out there dodging arrows. So, we also know that this is where Rick is sitting. The sign is overhead. If you go back to episode number 1, and Rick says, my mercy, that's a brand new word. My mercy prevails over my wrath. I feel like that is Rick keeping himself from killing Negan. And we thought that a long time ago, right? That was, so that I think that'll play out. The reflection, the sign. Now, the last thing that I would say, Red Eye Rick. Wow, we had videos early on, and we talked about Red Eye Rick, and he was crying over Carl. Now, it could be Rick breaking down, but I'm going to ask the group right now. If you've watched it and you've zoomed in, could you see Rick with the same type of red eyes happening that Father G? So let's just take, we got 200 people here. While you guys are answering that question, just give me a yes or no if you feel like we're onto something. Rick infection, Father G infection. Did we see the Father G infection as a foreshadowing of what would happen to Rick? And while you guys are doing that, we got a whole lot of new people. Once again, if you guys could slap the like button, also subscribe. I'm going to read a couple comments, but here's when we broadcast during the week. I want to give you guys a quick 10-second commercial, hopefully. Sundays at noon, we do Walking Dead Junkies. We take a whole bunch of random topics out there, and could be past, present, and future, so we'd love for you guys to join us for that. Also, Sunday at 8 o'clock, we do our Walking Dead Countdowns, 30-minute broadcast before The Walking Dead, and then we also do a reaction video after Talking Dead. Then on Monday nights, we do a full recap at 9:30. Tuesday nights, 9:30, it's a Walking Dead topic. This is our Wednesday Walker edition, another Walking Dead topic. Tomorrow, we'll probably talk a little bit of spoilers from this week's episode, and then Friday, if we broadcast on Friday, we will do breaking news. So, appreciate all of you guys being here. So there's a whole lot of people saying yes. Now, when I first saw it, I thought, he is doing a lot of crying. Oh my God, Rick is crying all over again. But it is not, it doesn't look like red eye crying. It looks like an infection. It was seriously red. And I will not disagree with that either, Paris. So here's Paris with a super chat. I'm not agreeing with him because it's a super chat. But this is the other part that I wanted to add to that conversation. It is possible that Negan is killed. And it is possible that Rick is flawed. That would be a huge, huge change in the story. But that part I can't give you. I can't confirm yes or no. Maybe we think so, maybe we don't, but it could definitely go along that line. Paris. I'm not saying he will or he won't. But it would not surprise me if he was regretful and he was crying after killing Negan and saying, this is what Carl wanted me to do, but I couldn't do it. Or, this is what Carl was trying to teach me all along. This is going to be our personal opinion. Angela Lewis, Father G's infection has been going on for several days. I would say Rick's happened immediately, like literally within a short time period. That would be the only answer I would have for that. I mean, remember, Father G had the stuff on him, then he went in the cell, and then he got sick, and he started getting... So there could have been signs of it early on with Father G, and then he's got like the full red eyes. Well, maybe this is the early stage of it. So Spaz says, kills you right, someone else there, trouble breathing. I know it's a lot to piece together, and when we do these mystery solve things or these hidden clues, look, we're never 100%. Don't expect all of these taglines that I gave you to be A, B, C, D, and E. There's going to be some parts of them that they absolutely are right. But there's also going to be some parts that, okay, well, that was a good guess. We threw a dart up there. But I can give you the things that I observed. And the breathing and the slight mumbling in the background does not appear to be Rick to me. If I was a betting, and I wasn't looking to find, a great discovery. I was listening very objective and open-minded without watching any other people's predictions on what happened with this. So Crawfish says, yeah, what if Michonne died? Possibility. I'm not going to put it past any of those scenarios. But I can't gather that from the picture that I'm seeing. I can't gather that from the last 20 seconds of the episode. If Michonne died, would Rick have it? Absolutely. He would be sad. He'd be remorseful. He'd miss her. Could she die? Of course. Anybody on the show can die. Simon can die. Negan can die. Michonne could die. And that could be... But you got to do a lot of crying to get those red eyes that he had. That's all I'm saying. I don't anticipate Michonne's going to die. I really don't anticipate that Negan's going to die. But I will go back to Paris's comment that he could be realizing that he made a mistake by killing him. I mean, look, he shot up in the air with Sadiq. He shouldn't have done that. He shot up in the air with Jadis. Michonne didn't think he should have done that. He was explaining himself to her. So he could have went too far and actually cut Negan's throat and lost it. And maybe Negan survives it. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he bleeds out. And Rick's just now realizing, like, the war's over. That's it. I just killed the leader. The evil's gone. I mean, this is a reflective moment. This is not Rick slammed into a tree and then he's all disheveled. This is Rick at the end of something epic that went down. This I will guarantee you. Okay, let me, before I guarantee it, because we're going way over tonight. I'm going to ask everybody here, several hundred people in this chat, what is Rick doing? If you had to bet your salary on it at this moment, why is Rick up against that tree? What just happened? And I'm going to read a couple comments. I've given you my full 6-step theory of the way I think it's going to go down. So I'm going to read a couple people's theory. Did Dwight go nuts and shoot him with a crossbow? Did Negan throw Rick up against a tree? Is he... You tell me, and I'm going to read a couple of the comments. So Superman Nick says, grieving. Tobin McLeod says, just finished the fight with Negan. Chris Rainick says, shot by an arrow. You got to tell me who shot him with an arrow, Chris. And that arrow that you see, zoom in on it. See if you can get me a serial number off that arrow that you say exists that I don't seem to see. I'm sorry, I'm being a smart ass, but I don't see it. Somebody says pink eye. Super Rudd says the war is over. Body by Trev says his shin is broken. Possibly, but I don't see any validation that his shin is broken. Hippo says, taking a breath after a major just went down. Rial says, yeah, after he takes out Negan, he finally reads Carl's note. Taking a breather, grieving. Catnat says grieving. Amy in PA says major fight. He's exhausted, reflecting on everything that's happened. I definitely see pieces of that. Epic Vids. Negan will say something to Rick that will mess him up and make him reflect on his decisions. I want to talk about that in 1 second. Chris, the only thing I would say to that is a lot of times some of the diehard comic fans pick bits and pieces that they think will follow the comics and then bits and pieces that they can't explain from the comics. So, for example, we know that Glenn died a certain way in the comics. There was one person that died in the lineup in the comics, but 2 people died. So anytime I get that as an argument, it's really tough to validate that because there are major instances that happen, but when we do that, it is a guess because the writers do not always follow the comics. And I think, if anything, we've learned that. And the ultimate pushback to that would be like, okay, well, yeah, okay, Dwight shot Rick with an arrow, but where was Carl? Well, Carl was living, but Carl's not living. So those justifications are really, really hard to do. Why do the writers do anything that they do? I'm not, and first of all, let me say, I'm not advocating or claiming that Negan's going to die. What I'm doing is I'm saying that I've had people in this chat so far say Negan will die, and I can see your point of view, and I've had people say Negan may not die, and I can see your point of view. I have the ability, because I have to, as a host, to see a lot of different points of view, which is why I can say the comic is a guideline, and there are things that I could see it happening this way, but I'm not going to stick hard and true to one theory. And I would go back to say, I'm not telling you that Rick did not get shot by an arrow. He could have. I'm just saying for me to, you'd have to give me a lot more data to say, why would that make sense? How did that play out? When I can tell you that there's going to be a lineup. There's going to be a blanks exploding. Negan is going to run. Rick is going to go after Negan. So I would love to debate this with you for hours, but you're going to have to give me in something and saying, okay, I think he was shot, but build up a storyline when I can give you things that make a little bit of sense that I think are going to lead up to that. So Rick is... So here's the deal in 16. There's a lineup. The guns blow up. Negan goes after Eugene because he knows he did it. Dwight steps in. And Dwight wants to hit Negan. Negan takes off. Now, if you're telling me that Dwight was trying to shoot Negan and he hit Rick, okay, maybe. But if you're just telling me some random arrow out of nowhere just shot Rick, it just doesn't make sense at this point in time. when you know that Negan's carrying a knife and Negan's already stabbed Spencer, I'd say there's just a little bit more validity to that. That's all. So, going back to the audio, did anyone get a chance to listen to the audio versions? I know Spaz said a couple minutes ago that, and Spaz also saying, glad the fight is over. He's stabbed, he's exhausted, and amazed that his mercy outweighed. I agree with that. It may not be right, but I definitely see that happening, and I think there's just a lot of emotions kind of running through him at this point. So Crawfish says, what if it's an injury after the car chase reopened? If it happens after the car chase, it's going to happen well after the car chase. It could happen this week, but the way Rick is walking around when he says, this is where you die, he's in pretty good shape after the car chase. So, Crawfish, if you're telling me maybe that some saviors come and help Negan, and they rough him up a little bit, possibly. Well, you know what? That definitely real. So, Chris, I'll give you that. Dwight's aim is so bad. You know, there you go. There's a point. He was aiming at Negan and missed and hit Rick. Oops. Now you're in trouble because Dwight's got a crossbow. Top Sport, I'm going to tell you that no, that's not what happens. Dwight is not going to be loyal to Negan after he gets imprisoned. That is over. That relationship is done. Ron Burgundy Moore. I love the name change. So, once again, because a lot of people were just really fired up with the things that they had heard, and some people go back and watch it several times. But, you know, there's a lot of what-ifs that go along with it. The thing that I would say to people thinking that maybe Simon and Dwight there's any place in that, after the lineup, it's over. There's no loyalty to Negan, because here's why it doesn't happen that way. Dwight attacks Negan in 16. So I want you guys to understand this. So what would have to happen is Dwight would have to hit Negan, then say, oops, I changed my mind, let me go shoot Rick. That's not what's going to happen. It just does not play out very well. And when Dwight is in that situation, he's going to be wearing a jumpsuit that says A on it. Dwight is done. All right, but we've run this up to 50 minutes, so I'm going to kind of throw it out there one more time. Last bold predictions. You know what? I'm going with it. In my mind, the mystery is mostly solved. I'm going to do two things. I'm going to ask for you guys to do your prediction. I am going to have one more ask from all the group because so many people are here. First of all, if you're new, subscribe. We get some hot, heated, passionate debates, and I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody's opinion. Chris, thank you. like I said, if it's an error, I'm going to be the first person to come back and say, hey, I remember Chris said that a while back. I'm going to ask you to go back. Don't go on somebody else's channel immediately after this. Don't go blow up a picture of it. Don't look at artwork that's out there. I'm going to ask you to do one thing. Go to amc.com. Go to the last 2 minutes and just watch and listen. Listen to the sound in the background. Listen to the breathing and watch Rick. Could be bad audio. Anything's possible, like Kevin Garnett said. But listen, you'll hear just a little bit of muffled talking, just a bit. Then you look down, you see Rick move his hand just enough to see there's nothing through his hand. Then you can see the blood drape down. Then look over on the far right and see if you can figure out what that wrapped up item is. I can't tell what it is, but I want you to help me. If you guys get a chance, a few people watch it. Raven, it's the last 2 minutes of episode number 9. The one where Carl died. I'm sorry if I didn't clarify that earlier. It's this season, episode number 9. You see him move his leg a little bit. Like I said, I'm not saying his leg is not broken. You could still move it a little bit. His leg may be broken. He may have sit down against a tree because he couldn't walk. I'm okay with that. I mean, he is using the tree to hold himself up, so it is possible. But there's a couple small, I think, hints and clues from this. The audio, the reflection, the breathing, and then whatever the item is. I think, that's all I could really make out of that. And I missed a super chat, so let me scroll up really quickly. This is Jason, the Mixologist Daily. So I'm not forgetting my super chatters. I'm getting back to Jason, so I want to focus on this. Kills there a possibility that Rick is sitting on the tree and Negan is on the other side of the tree reading the letter from Carl. Possible. You know what, Jason? It would take the perfect angle to shoot that, but I really, really like that. They just had this epic fight. Rick has been cut. Maybe his leg is broken. Negan is slashed. Maybe not quite, to a point of death. And Rick showed him mercy. Nothing wrong with that at all. That would be absolutely awesome. Did we just get a mixologist bomb? You know what? Jason, I have been going over my 6-point theory for 54 minutes, and Jason, Mixologist Daily, he just stole my show. I'm dropping the mic. I'm turning the microphone over to Jason. Yeah, I think that was, I think it's awesome. I'd love to see that. And I think, judging by the reaction from the crowd, I think a few people like that. That was definitely like that was beyond a PD bomb. Now we're going to have to go back because DJ Diamstat says, I copyrighted, I said it first. Okay, I'm going to have to scroll up. You guys know there's 1,000 different streaming things. So, we will debate it. I guess we can do like rock, paper, scissors. Regardless, it's an awesome theory. So, a lot of stuff to really digest. But, hey, all the comments are streaming now. People can see it. But that would be awesome writing. Thank pigs. Thank Tainted weapons. Thank Rick's wound. Blood on the hand. Something on the ground. And go back and listen to the audio. We will touch base on this a little bit tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of people chiming in. Believe me. And when this video goes live, please go over and leave the comments. But watch some of the comments that come out. Because you're gonna see people talking about arrows. You're going to see people talking about broken legs. You're going to see people talking about a knife through his hand. I've heard that. So it can't be all of them, right? It can only be probably one of them or a combination. But it's interesting to go back and leave comments to some of the other comments, because that's really the fun part, is we're speculating this. In a few weeks, we're going to know for sure. We're going to have the theories. But this has been a big mystery, and I feel like we've made some progress. And I do like the Negan's on the other side of the tree reading the letter. That would just, I think, signify the war's over. All right, everybody. We're going to wind this thing down. This is a super long episode. If you guys have not slapped the like button, one last plea, if you guys could hit that. Also, if you're brand new, this is your first stream ever, give me a quick 444 in chat, because I want to give you a special shout out, and then I'm going to do the regular shout outs. So if you're watching the playback, this is it. This is the closing credits, because what I'm just going to do for the next couple minutes is I'd like to shout out a lot of people on the stream. I like to get as many people as we possibly can. Let me also remind you, we do these every night. There's going to be passion. There's going to be debate. There's going to be psychology. We're going to disagree. We're going to do all those things. But we're going to be back here tomorrow, and we're going to do it all over again. So there's nothing but love for this group. Really, really awesome group. Thank you so much. You guys make the show. Do want to give a special shout out to Fiber Optic Hell, first stream. Hopefully you subscribe. And you can see over on the right side of the page where it says Walking Dead 999 Army. You can join us on Facebook as well. Nico Bellic also. We want to bring in as big a crowd as possible because we want more opinions, more people involved. How about the Fusion Burrow? Thank you for being here. Special shout out to you as well. And all of the other regular 999 Army. I'm going to start shouting you guys out. If I miss somebody, just let me know. If you guys have a theory, you have something that you want to share with me, send it to me on Kik at KILZHOT. And I want to thank Epic Vids for being here tonight, Mambo55. Oh, real quick also, all of my Patreon supporters, thank you so much. And, of course, all the people that do Super Chats and support this channel and get the opinion out there and give us stuff to talk about, thank you to my Super Chat crew as well. So I want to say what's up to Beth Brigette, Scott Kernan, Timothy Young, Walani, Zelda Faz, Spaz0023, absolutely, Madison Dickey, Stephen Miller, Sienna D, a.k.a. Little Michonne, Sean Lowe, DDA Ohio, OU Crawfish, Jack Carr, Carlisle, RR, Hippo in the house, thank you so much. Brene Harp, oh, I caught you early this time. Chris Rainey, thanks for being here. Love the passion. Absolutely, man. Hey, bring it. We're going to bring it tomorrow night. Make sure you bring your gloves tomorrow night, though. It's going to be hardcore. The Cat Nat. Jason Mixologist Daily, thank you so much. Northside Queen. Emmy Desiree Bacon. Bree. Kelsa Smile. Steph the Cuervo Queen. And Tommy the Sweet Ass Enforcer McCandless. All my moderators. You guys give a shout out to the moderators. They do a great job keeping it professional and somewhat adult-oriented without a bunch of trolls in there. Appreciate all them guys kind of putting the hammer down when they have to. Drama Queen, Drama, I'm sorry. I just messed up your name. You know what? I'm going to skip and come back to you. I'll do it. Drama King, New York City. Thank you for being here. I always have at least one or two in every stream. Lamar Lanham, thank you. Petey Wheatstraw, 9 to the 9 to the 9. Waiting on Petey to generate some more Petey bombs. Love his theories as well. I am part of the Walking Dead 999 Army. Thank you. Deja Vu. Also, Ron Burgundy Moore. Tech, thanks for being here. Will Saint. Gina Crockett. I love the stream tonight, too. I appreciate you, all the people getting involved in it. There's some streams that I love more than others, and this was a topic I knew I was going to have a lot of fun with, and I knew there'd be a lot of involvement, so those are the best. Thank you. I'm going to do some double shout-outs as well. Dwayne Sharp, you made it tonight. Thank you for being here. Who else we got? Tommy V. Thanks so much, Tommy. My moderators are awesome. What an awesome group. Michelle Yang, thank you for being here. Appreciate you putting the K-pop on hold to come over and join one of our streams. Always nice to have you. Masala, thanks for being here, Masala. Appreciate it. Football Stuff Worldwide as well. Mike Blanco, thank you so much. Sheila Beasley, John Brody. Body by Trev. Citizen Soldier. Says Carol is the best character. Hey. Hey, Emma Michalik. Thank you so much, Emma. Hey, thanks, Timothy. Appreciate you being here, buddy. Nunya, thank you so much, Nunya. Awesome comments and appreciate your interaction as well. Eddie Pizzle, thank you so much, Eddie. Yep. Hey, you guys go back and watch the playback. It gets heated, man. It's good playback. Thank you, DJ. I'm going to hang out just for another minute or so, just do some more shout-outs. So I know some people have a little more lag than others. Deborah Mooney, thank you. Appreciate you being here. Melinda Kettler. Mambo 55. A little bit of Angela in my life. A little bit. I know that's not the name of the song, but I saw Mambo 55 and I had to do it. Thank you so much. Epic Vids, I'm always going to read that. Best channel on YouTube. It's because if this truly is one of the best channels on YouTube, it's because we have the best army and the best participation. Rubelow's channel, thank you so much. What's up, Pickles? Thanks so much. I think it's Mambo number 5, isn't it? Not Mambo 55. Am I wrong? Now you're going to make me Google something. Because it was Lou Bega, right? Mambo number 5? I'm checking it. Yeah, it's Mambo number 5. And it's spelled M-A-M-B-O. See, I got my fact checkers working in the background. Carol Brothers Payette, almost missed your shout out. Also 1189 Paris. Almost missed you. Mad Dog 2K85. Let me get a few more people in here. Once it dies down a little bit, I can get like the last minute shout outs. All right, everybody, we're going to wind this thing down. Once again, I did promise, right? You know, last night we got off that stream, I said, I'm going to dig in, do some research. So I put my heart into this theory. If it's wrong, it's wrong. I've been wrong before. Actually, I'm wrong several times a day, and I have no problem with it. We'll go back and, but I will go back and watch this video at the end of the season and say, kind of pick and, hey, I was right about a couple things because I'm just going off that last little clip. All right, thanks everybody. Appreciate everybody being here. I see Demolition Kiwi as well. One more last shout out. And we will be doing this again tomorrow night at 9:30. Mark your calendars. See everybody. Peace.